There you go.
All right, we'll call this meeting to order at 6:02 I got here. And Rich, do you want to take the roll, please?
Sure. On screen, I have Bachhuber, Knor, Kuhn, Potter, Giebert.
And me.
Oh, there's David. Sorry.
I'm here. I snuck in just a little bit ago.
I wasn't looking. I was looking at my notes. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
But
I was
Erica thought she wouldn't be here. So
Okay,
I think we can get going.
okay, we'll start with approval of last month's minutes. They were sent out in the packet.
I'll move for approval. This is Warren.
This is David. I'll second that.
David second. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes from 9/21/22, say aye.
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 Any opposed? I think the ayes carried it.
Excellent.
Okay. Next item, Richard summarized the response from the city attorney about what we can fund and also about considerations of changes to the rates. And I don't want to, no reason to reread this, but hopefully people have read it. It seems pretty clear what the direction was here. Any discussion on this topic item? There's not really an action yet, but is there any discussion?
Was there a sunset date on the original referendum? I forget.
No.
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 Thank
Okay.
you, Richard. Sorry.
The second one there was, I'm sorry for interrupting, Jim.
No. So the second one changed our rate from 15 to 45, specifically for repair of damages from the August 2018 storm.
Right.
And it does sunset 2023 or 4. I can't remember.
I think it's the end of 24.
Okay.
December 31st. I'm thinking of 24, correct?
Maybe it's 23, Rich. I'll look.
I thought it was 23 in council, and I think I was corrected at 24. So
This can easily be verified. We can
Right.
it's
Yeah.
written down, so we can settle this. If Eric gets a chance, just shout it out sometime. I don't have any other thing to bring up. One thing I do want to bring up is for future meetings to discuss the concept or at least consideration of bring into referendum or a vote or a consideration of allowing the $45 to remain in place. But that's not, we can't really just, I don't know how much we can discuss tonight. I just want to say that's something I want to have conversation on in the future.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
I don't know why we couldn't discuss that a little bit. It's an agenda item. I don't know if we're prepared to have that discussion in full or what it would take to advance such an item forward. I think that we could not do it. It's probably too late to do it for the November election, obviously.
Yeah.
Those ballots are already printed and ready to go.
But not to mention you've got a referendum for raising taxes already.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
correct. And it might be ill-timed as well.
Yeah.
So
I think we'd have to look at what projects we want to fund in the future and where that funding is going to come from to justify keeping it at that rate.
yeah, and I think that's more of a 5-year plan that we should probably work on and set forth once we get through this and then make that determination and move forward would be my
Exactly. I mean, just so you know, the way this came about, I remember what was that? Whatever year it was. I've worked on and helped municipalities in Wisconsin prepare probably 25 or 30 stormwater utilities throughout the state in my career. in the normal process, I'm gonna vent a little bit here, is to find out what you need to support your program, and then find out what the rate is to support that program. Well, we did it completely backwards. We just said, well, we think $15 will be doable. And that's how it got adopted, which is not proper, or in my mind, the way to go about business. And I'm just stating my position right now. So in other words, the steps are find out what you need, and that's from both capital and non-capital needs for stormwater management in the city. And then you can calculate what the rate would be to support that need on an annual basis. And I'm just saying that's, to me, that's how 99.99% of the communities in the state develop their utility rates. So again, I don't know how to get that rolling, but I think it's going to, obviously it's going to take some staff and some work to determine what are the budgets, and again, both capital and non-capital, and what the rates should be to support those program needs.
Jim, I see Rick has his hand up.
Any comments from the board to start with?
Yeah, I agree. We got to have a 5-year plan to be able to justify anything with extending that deadline or keeping the $45 rate. I mean, it just from a general public standpoint, they're going to want to know why. Too many times, and you can almost predict that if you increase taxes on a temporary basis, well, they never go down.
Right.
So if we can come up with a 5-year plan, I think that would work out, on what we anticipate for cost needs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Don. Anybody else on the board with comments, questions at this point?
Makes
this
sense to
is-
me. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I was just going to say the same. This is Emily. I'm an economist by training. We look at what we need, what costs are, and then how do you meet those costs? So makes total sense.
Okay. Ken, you gonna say something?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Makes a lot of sense. Where we should be doing it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anybody
just
else? I'm
Chime
gonna
in.
call
It
on
is,
Rick, but go ahead.
it's end of 2024 verified.
Good. Thank you. So we do a little time to get this in order, I think. Rick, comment?
Yeah, I think just following up on the discussion that you already mentioned, Jim. So the terminology would be a stormwater utility rate study, and that would be a great thing to do sometime within the next year before the current fee sunsets. And then you could, when that does sunset or before, you could basically, that stormwater utility rate study could provide the committee guidance on what an appropriate budget might be. But and typically financial consultants are really good at that and can do that pretty cost effectively, and also they're pretty familiar with what the legislation is related to stormwater utility rate structures, and if the city hasn't done that already, that's something that would be a really good idea to pursue.
Thank you, Rick. Anything else on that topic for now? I think Rich and Eric, I'd like to talk to you guys off, during the week sometime. We can kind of think about next steps in that process.
Sure,
Okay.
just send us an email and we can get in a conference room or just do a Zoom message meeting or something.
And if Emily, the economist, wants to be in part of that, I would welcome that addition, or anybody. We just
Sounds
can't have a
great.
quorum, that's all.
Yes, right. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, you want to get to the next topic of Milton Hills and Spring Hill Pond dredging proposals and recommendation of the staff?
Sure. Eric went out for RFP to solicit proposals for this project of dredging these two mentioned ponds. I think 6 proposals went out and 3 were returned. Eric and I reviewed the proposals, and Rainmaker was the apparent lull, which satisfied all the criteria set forth in the RFP.
This is Warren, and I'm not sure how he came up with a cost difference, but I read them over, and I think Non has a lot more detail and better understanding of the projects. Rainmakers was very brief. They listed all their personnel, but they just said they would do the job, where Non actually looked like he went out and made some observations and provide a lot more detail as far as getting rid of the sediments and the dredging. And Chuck's got a lot, or Nons has experience with the city also. I just think it's a better proposal, and the cost difference isn't that much.
Other comments?
Non also talked about infiltration tests, and Rainmaker didn't even, I'm confused as, is that soil test thing part of the infiltration, or how is infiltration going to be determined? That seems critical to me, to do an infiltration test.
Yeah, it'd be determined with a field test, Warren. And I think Rainmaker did talk about it. And in fact, mentioned a deduct, of a couple $100, apparently, which I was unaware of. They have some of their own testing services in-house. So I think that was in there. I agree, Chuck had done more legwork, no doubt.
But I'll also comment that I thought the RFP itself that the city put out was pretty detailed on what needed to be done. It's pretty clear what the scope is. And I felt all 3 responded to that scope. And if that scope is conducted, it will fulfill what we need to do to get the work done. So I'm comfortable with the Rainmaker recommendation. Has the city worked with them before?
Yeah, they're actually the company that is designed the rehab for the ridges at Pheasant Branch Condos Pond, which is not being done for the city, although we are funding a portion of it.
Right.
And they seem like they knew what they were doing.
So the recommendation for Rainmaker just based on the cost differential?
Basically, we thought all 3 were qualified.
So a couple $1,000.
I as much as I agree with you, Warren, as to the quality of the submittal, I don't know that we get to just accept someone else's based on what's stated in the submittal.
Yeah.
We've done that before. We're not bound to choose the lowest cost.
No.
Well, you generally have to have a good reason for it. And
I think in my mind, providing more detail how they're going to do the study is, and showing more knowledge of the project.
Remind me, I'm asking the staff here, who did the engineering design work for the Confluence Pond?
The Confluence Pond dredging,
Yeah.
that was MSA, me.
Okay. Warren, I'll be honest here. I think this is a little more, these dredging projects get complicated real quick and involve, a lot of permitting and disposal and, survey and engineering and whatnot. And I do feel Rainmaker is in a better position to provide that variety of services.
Based on they got more personnel,
Yeah,
but they just
Chuck
list
is-
a whole bunch of people. It doesn't say they're going to be working on the project.
well, they've got a table submitted with, rates and staff and all that stuff, so I don't think I have a reason to doubt that.
Well, Nan talked about how he's going to get rid of the dredge spoils too, and I'm not sure they've addressed that yet.
Well,
Again, that's
if
Go
I
ahead.
could stick my nose back in, Chuck did go into detail about that, but it wasn't asked for in the RFP. And, I guess I anticipated that would be determined under the agreement with them.
right. And there's a whole host of regulatory steps that need to be followed, and all these three submittals know this, to dispose of that material. So it's not like it's just a haphazard thing where it gets dumped somewhere. That I'm not concerned with that being done in a less than professional manner. Ken, did you have something to say?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, I don't know. It's a close call either way. I mean, Chuck's done a lot of good work for us, but I have no reason to doubt that the other firm couldn't do it. So I'm on the fence, I guess.
All right. Any other comments, questions on this topic? If hearing none, the staff made a recommendation in their memo. They got a 2-page memo supporting what their recommendation is, which is to make the award to Rainmaker. And so I'll entertain a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
I'll go ahead and make that motion to approve the staff recommendation, award the bid to Rainmaker.
This is Don, I'll second.
One second.
Doesn't it go to Finance and Council?
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a recommendation to go to. We're just supporting the staff recommendation, which is going to go on to both those places, like committees, I believe.
Okay,
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor of the motion, you can say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And
I
opposed?
Me, Warren,
Okay. Motion passed, what was that, 6-1 or, well, Richard, I'm sure
5.
you got the count figured out.
5-1.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jim,
Last topic,
before
sorry.
you move on, staff had also asked for a recommendation to increase from what was budgeted
right,
or what was approved.
this is
For
because of
design
geotech
purposes.
services, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
at least I thought that was part of my motion per
oh,
the
I'm-
per the recommendation from staff. That
Okay.
was intended to be included. I don't know if Don was on board
Yeah.
with that or not.
totally on board.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll adopt both the recommendations of the memo, which we have.
sorry.
Okay, last topic is Donna Drive repairs. Again, the staff have put together a memo of a proposed approach. I did ask the question, I did go out there today. I'll just start off the discussion here that I emailed the question to Richard and Eric about this infiltration basin, and I've had I'll just state my opinion here. I've had reservations on this from the get-go, and it's been in place now for how many years? 7? No.
I think that's right.
Is that right?
Somewhere near there.
All right. Well, I'm just, I'll state my concern is, we all know how steep that bankment is there, sandy soils. And we had a lot of geotech work done along with this originally, and I'm still not sure the benefit of infiltrating water at this site, given all the conditions. And, as far as infiltration goes, I'm going to have to surmise that the water drops down about 15, 20 feet, hits the water table and comes out into Pheasant Branch Creek. And that's our infiltration. And I don't know the benefit of that. So anyway, my question is, do we really want to repair this thing again? Or is there another alternative to looking at this? And I sent this question over to Richard and Eric, and I would appreciate your thoughts on that if you had a chance to think about it.
Yeah, I did respond to you, Jim, but
Yep.
didn't really lay it out. This pond was built for two purposes, I think. One was a kind of an adjacent private project. And, I think the city took an opportunity to collect water from a larger watershed, which included that private project. And, uh-oh.
I got it.
Hope that's not my battery.
Kill two birds with one stone, for lack of a better term. So there is some water quality and infiltration that are required or were required, that this project fulfilled, but it's probably a relatively small proportionally, because I think it's about an 80-acre watershed. The ponds are undersized to do any kind of peak rate attenuation, and the outlet from the main pond is a little undersized, and that's why, unless we advance with another more major repair, we're going to continue to get these overflows over that armored weir, or I would expect we would. I'm not sure why the repair, Jim, from a few years ago, the pipes between the main basin and the infiltration basin were enlarged. I don't know if it was Water Resources assessment at that time that we needed to try to push a little more water into the infiltration basin. And then the small failure now is the result of overtopping, not infiltration and seepage. And I think everybody's assumption from the flood of 2018 was that was an overtopping failure also. And I think that if we raise the berm in the infiltration basin to where it was designed to be, open up the outlet structure, it will result in a little bit less infiltration anyways, with the outlet structure lower and more open. But, I was trying to find a kind of a quick, cheap solution to protect this from a much more major failure.
Richard, can you go pan down to the very last page of the packet? It's a drawing of the site. I know we're going to run out of time here too, it looks like.
That's all right.
Rich, can you turn on bookmarks in that PDF?
I can, but
Just go to the very bottom.
No?
yeah, I'll
Punch in the last page.
Here it is. So the overtopping you observed, Richard and Eric, it's over what I'll call the south berm of the infiltration basin.
No,
This latest.
it's all the way on the left side. Rich, if you can zoom in on, right, a little bit to your left still. where I've got that brownish
Oh, I see it.
polygon drawn.
Okay.
And
That's
you
where,
You can see it pretty clearly on the contours. It's kind of like this berm was never finished off. And that might
Yeah.
have happened in the original construction and it just was never noticed.
so that's where the water surface flowed out of the infiltration
Right,
basin.
right where Rich's cursor is right
Yep.
now.
Okay,
Then it, scooted across the path where it's a little bit lower down.
gotcha.
And it's very minor so far.
But I certainly, I certainly have share your concern that if the 1-year storm, in your memo, it says as little as a 1-year storm would overtop. So that's certainly,
But we'll build that up a
yeah,
couple feet
yeah.
higher. And
Yeah.
the other issue is that the inlet or the outlet structure, which is just south, just below the 3 culverts between the 2 ponds.
Right, that's a standpipe outlet, right?
Yeah, but it's not
Concrete.
that one, Rich, the one a little bit up from that guy.
This one here.
Yeah, it was modeled as an open 4-foot structure and it's got a 2-foot street casting on top of it,
Right.
which is higher than the overflow berm, the way it sits now.
I saw that today. I was wondering, that looked low. So your proposal is to lower that. Remove flat slab and 24-inch cast, replace with 48-inch. Okay. Okay.
Truthfully, I'm pretty dismayed that our consultant who, designed this twice and did field observation twice,
Yeah.
missed all this stuff twice.
Yeah. Okay, my comments are resolved and want to make sure I give opportunity to the rest of the board to ask questions. Hearing none. Questions on this? So the proposal is to seek $15,000 to $20,000 for this work. And would it be done with city crews or what's the proposal?
We're gonna go out for quotes, I think.
What
But
happens
it's
if
really-
what happens if the same consultant comes back and bids on it?
Well, we would just be getting quotes from contractors, Warren.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll let,
Your city's doing the engineering work for
Well, we'll
design.
go with some version of my crayon drawing here.
Yeah. And you're not, the outlet's not being replaced, or are you actually gonna replace the whole structure or just cut the concrete and make it into a,
It's a 4-foot manhole with a flat slab lid. So we
Right.
pull off the 7-inch casting and the 5-inch lid and put an open trash rack on top of it, 4-foot diameter. So it'd be a foot lower than it is now.
okay,
The edge of it, the top, the rim.
a foot lower, okay,
And then the rest of it is just hauling in some more gravel to build up the path, and then some topsoiling and seeding along the edges and building up that one little piece of earth and berm.
the actual, yeah, the additional berm will have a clay liner to it, or it'll be a proper, like, you gotta find the right soils and all that.
Yeah.
So what you're proposing, Eric, is really to protect the structure, not to save the infiltration.
I'm not planning on really altering the infiltration, except that by lowering that rim, there will be less infiltration. I didn't calculate that. I wasn't worried we were gonna run afoul of what we needed or anything.
Well, like Jim said, the infiltration really doesn't do any good. It goes into the groundwater and goes into the stream directly. So
And then, Rich,
it's
if you
not
could
recharged.
hand,
It's not recharging the groundwater or anything.
right. Rich, could you pan down just slightly? And then the other part of this is just kind of making sure that when the main basin overtops, it's overtopping where it was designed to, over the armored slope, which it's not really clear that that's what it would do today. Yeah, there's just not enough freeboard.
Yeah, that's I mean, so that slope is still armored. Was that from the repair work, that, area that's in hexagon, the honeycomb area? That's still in place right now, right? Articulated
Yeah.
concrete.
Yep.
Okay.
It's just, it's not shaped very well.
Yeah.
It should have been a little trapezoid, and it's a little too flat.
Yeah. Okay. Well, any other comments on the request from the staff memo? They're requesting the 15 to 20 from the budget to enact these repairs. I'll entertain a motion to accept their recommendation.
Well, the funding would come from our stormwater utility funds.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay,
This is Don. I'll move we accept the recommendation of staff.
From Don. Any seconds?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ken. Any other discussion on this? Hearing none, I'll call the vote in favor of the motion as stated. I'll say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none. Passed. That's our agenda. We will take a motion to adjourn.
So
Those
moved.
are, David moved?
Yep.
Thanks. And I can second, I guess. I'll second it.
All right.
All in favor of adjournment? Aye.
Aye.
And
Aye.
opposed? Okay.
Okay, we're gonna have the water resources meeting next, so I'm gonna stop recording and then hand ownership over to Eric so he can screen share.
Well, so we can just stay on here?
Yep,
Yeah.
we can
Oh.
stay right on.
All
Good.
right.